I try so many of those different things, and this is a long conversation, but even having a son who's now a sophomore, who's a quarterback, you just realize that if you play basketball, baseball, lacrosse, all these other sports, you constantly play games. You can play 5 basketball games on a weekend. You could play, I don't know how many lacrosse games they play, but they play a lot. Soccer, my daughters, they play all the soccer games. How often are you actually playing 11-on-11 football, playing the quarterback position? And I think that's why you see so much, back and forth, confusion. It's just not very much a science, even when you get to the NFL and the draft process, because these guys haven't played a lot of football, and so you don't know where they are. You don't know always how to compare where they play to where they need to play, types of throws that need to be made. So I think about this a lot, and Tavian, needs to get as many of those reps as he can. We've tried in the past. We've tried the virtual reality, where when I was in San Francisco, we would actually, have people, simulate defenses, simulate blitzes, so they could stand in there. We'd actually put the turf down, and they'd have the VR, and they'd be going through the reads, and it wasn't the same. It was just not the same. A 320-pound guy trying to rip your head off in front of you, it's just not the same. So what do we try to do? We try to watch as much film as we can, and try to simulate it the best we possibly can, but there's nothing like getting real reps, and that's why we made the guys live this spring to feel what that was like, because these guys haven't played a lot of football, and so they don't know what that's like. So I'll go off for an hour about this, but this is the kind of world we live in, and something I'm passionate about. So the more these guys can play 11-on-11 football, it's better. And then once August hits, it's going to be a great camp, as we know, because of our first opponent. So that's going to get ramped up real quick. So we need a great summer. And that's obviously a big part of that's in the weight room. You guys have heard me talk about guys being gold or being Iron Buckeyes. There's a reason why Jeremiah Smith was the first Iron Buckeye ever as a freshman. He saw what happened, right? So there's a correlation to the summer that they have and how they play on the field, and they know that. They bought in. I think that's really important. Our guys do understand how important what goes on in the summer, what goes on in the weight room, impacts on the field. So. That part of it, and then Nick will do a good job of creating conflict and then figuring out who leaders are. That'll be big, and then having that synergy within the team. And we would practice in pads on that Tuesday and Wednesday of the game week. But our D line, Tyleek and those guys, they were banged up. It was late in the season, and so we did not do that on one of those days for a reason, because we wanted to be healthy and fresh going in on Saturday. But when you're into such that rhythm, sometimes when you get to Saturday, it takes a little while to get your feet underneath you. And I felt like that hurt us a little bit in that first drive. But then again, you look back, you need those guys to be fresh late in the season. We're talking about week 16. And other than that, I thought we hit the sweet spot. I thought our guys were playing fast. I thought the way that we handled the season, the preseason, allowed us. You look at the way the running backs played late in the season. They were playing fast, and so we had a lot to learn from, a lot of information now to go back on, because it was the first time ever. So we'll at least have something to look back on. But I think a lot of it went the way we wanted to. Well, I think it starts probably at tight end, where we have more options there probably than we've ever had since I've been here. So that's exciting. We have some different styles of wide receivers, and we're building some depth at running back as well. So that part is fun, and James really did have a good spring. It's hard to tell when you're in the spring on running backs and we're not really tackling as much to the ground, what that looks like. But I thought we didn't tackle as much James to the ground as we did with CJ Donaldson. I thought he got better as the spring went on. And I thought Bo Jackson showed a lot for a freshman as well. So that was all good. Sam Williams-Dixon's fighting. He's had some good practices. I thought he got better. And then we'll have Isaiah getting healthy, and then Turbo coming in. So more depth in that room as well. You're talking about 5 guys there when we haven't always had 5 guys at the running back position. You guys remember sometimes we had like 2 or 3. So I think Locke's done a nice job of building depth. We have depth in the tight end room, and then we have some different styles of guys in the wide receiver position. So again, where does that go? We'll see, but some good players to work with. I think maybe in the past we've selected, quite honestly, but we got to evaluate now more than ever because of the way things are structured. So this is a very important time for our staff. We've got to get out there and make sure that we're evaluating these guys at a high level to come in and play all types of different roles. You may have a guy who's coming in to make an impact day one. You may have a guy that's coming in to be a developmental guy that maybe we're expecting to see on the field in year 2 or 3. All just as important. Just like when you're in the NFL draft and you're drafting a guy in the 6th and 7th round, those are important decisions when you're bringing in undrafted free agents. So we all know that we got a hit on the first rounders, but then there's all these other guys along the way, and so that's kind of how we're looking at it. It's becoming more and more like the NFL. So evaluations are critical, and we got to make sure we're on point with that. Yeah, I thought it was. It says a lot about our team. I think stability is very, very important, and it's always important to be transparent in recruiting. But now more than ever, what you say you're going to do, which is your character, what you say you're going to do, you have to back up. And I think we've done that. And the other part of it is when we recruit guys now, like we want guys who want to be Ohio State. If we have to talk you into coming to Ohio State, if money's the first thing you're looking for, this isn't the right place for you. And if people choose Ohio State because they want to come to Ohio State, they're more likely to stay. And so that's just the philosophy that we've had here, for a long time, but now more than ever because of the way things are. And I think, guys enjoy being at Ohio State. They like being here. And so as long as they're being valued, then they're going to stay because they know the development. We've always done that, and we've always rolled guys. And I even think when I first got here in like 17, we had all those guys, Taekwon, and we were just, Bosa, we used to roll those guys. And the more we can do that, especially with the length of the season, we're going to need to do that. I'm sure, Larry wants to be able to do that. So that'll be important. And I also think, there are different, skill sets of those guys that we can try to be creative, and that's one of the reasons why Matt's here, is to, find out what they do best and then get them on the field and do that. And I think that's exciting as we head into the summer to figure out what that looks like. Just like on offense, you try to put the guys in the right position to be successful. It's our job to do that now because numbers-wise, when you look at the guys on the defensive line, I think we're now at like 18. So that's a big number. So we've got plenty of guys to work with. So now we got to figure out what they can do well, and that's coaching.